In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can build a custom blog page for your WordPress website using the Divi theme and Divi builder. This is just a page to index your latest blog posts or even to create custom blog pages for categories and things like that. So the way it works is I've got this little test website and this is my default blog page that comes pretty much standard out of the box. I haven't actually built anything. It's just that's the blog page that is just default on my default WordPress blog page. But there's some issues here. I can't go into the visual builder and change and make things the way I want. So I've actually got to change my WordPress settings to make this page just a standard page. So I'm actually going to tab back, and if you're just wanting to get straight to the builder portion of this, you can skip ahead. I'll put a timestamp on the screen and you can skip ahead plus all this. But if we go down to settings and then down to reading, you'll notice this little area here. We've got static page is home page, the posts page is the blog page. You may also have your latest posts here like this, which means we actually have to create a blog page to build this on. So if this is what you have here, you will need to create a home page or a page for you to create your blog posts on. You have to turn this static page on there and then select the page that you create over here in pages for your home page and another page for blog, except in this instance, because we're creating a custom blog page, you want to turn this to select and just leave it blank. So the post page is on select, so we can actually use that page that we had assigned for our custom page. So we're going to save changes. Now there is another issue as well. If I tab back and refresh, I've actually used the theme builder in this series we're working on. This is actually part of a series of building a website in Divi. It has the default layout, which we don't want to use. We want to build our own custom layout. So if you've got this issue as well, I'll tab back to our dashboard. We do want to go to Divi under theme builder. And where it has all pages here, I'm going to click this little cog symbol and go to exclude from at the top. Where it says specific pages, I'm going to go down and tick blog and save that and click save changes. So this removes this template we built in the theme builder that's covering all pages from the blog page. And of course, if you have the blog page assigned specifically elsewhere on here, you will have to go through and remove that so that we can go to enable. If I actually refresh, you'll see it should just be a blank page like that. So now I'm going to go to enable visual builder and we're going to start building our blog page. Start from scratch. Now sometimes the builder does reload twice, so it might reload in a second, just like that. I don't know why it does that. Build from scratch. And the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to just add a full width row in here and create a full width header. Sorry, I take that back. Going to create full width post title. And it's going to just tick that for a minute. I'm going to remove this section at the top by hovering over the blue area, clicking the bin icon. So we need to actually add a little page header. Now we've got blog, which is cool. Of course, you can choose to simply type in a custom name, but this shows the actual page title. I'm going to turn off the meta and the featured image. And then we're just going to style a little bit. We're going to go to design, to spacing, add some padding top and bottom. Let's say we add in 75 either side, and then under text we're going to choose a light color, so it's white, and under content we're going to choose a background. You can just choose an image, and we're going to sort of just do this pretty quickly. Now if you want more information about customizing, say, the design of your pages, check out some of the other videos in this series about using the Divi builder, creating page templates, things like that. It'll run through some of your options. But for now, we've got a page header for our blog. And that means it just says blog. We can also change the page title if I want to down here. If I click this little circle, clicking the cog, I can change the page title to latest blog updates. And this will change the actual page title. If I save it, and that means that this should technically refresh. We turn title on or off, and it should show latest blog title. So if I exit the visual builder, It says latest blog updates. So this just displays the page name. However, you can just do like a full width header or something like that and just type in something custom if you want to. But let's go back into the visual builder and get started. So the first thing we're going to do is just create that basic layout we saw before, and then we're going to expand from that and see what your options are. So where it says section here, we're going to add a new section and we're going to make it regular. And we choose something that has sort of a nice left side content area and somewhere for us to put our sidebar. So we've got these two columns here. I'm going to add a blog module. Just going to tick that, leave it at default settings. Over here, if we want our sidebar, we click the plus and we just simply add a sidebar module. Not a slider, whoops. Add a sidebar module. We choose the sidebar widget. And you'll notice something here. There's a little line to the side of that sidebar. If I go to design here, under layout, I can actually align it to the right and the line will appear on the left, or I can just turn it off altogether. So this is a pretty standard blog layout. We've got a nice title at the top here. We've got some blog posts going down the page. Now we're going to explore some of the options here because we don't want to just stick with the standard. We're going to create something custom. We want to take it a bit further. I want to just show you some of the options here that you can use to customize this. So hover over the blog module, little gray box, and click the cog icon. And what we can do, we can actually choose to show all categories or even just one category. So you can actually customize it by the category and create blog pages for each category with custom designs. You can choose how many blog posts you want to display. So if we want to display 3, it'll just display 3 blog posts, which is pretty handy. And we can also choose to show pages, even media, images that we've uploaded, projects. So you actually have a bit of flexibility here as to what it actually displays. And also where it has the meta and it shows the date, there's a basic format here. So you can show how to display the format. It's got a capital M, lowercase j, and then a year. So you can see if I move the J, instead of going M and then J, if I go J and then M and then Y, it'll actually display the number, the month, and then the year. If you want to switch that up, I can even get rid of the comma, and I can actually customize that date to look the way I want. The other thing too is, it says show excerpt here. I can actually have it create its own excerpt. I can even custom the length. I can have a 110 character excerpt if you want it shorter. So you have an even shorter blog post excerpt. And you can even show the full content, which would be pretty long. It shows the entire page from there, the entire blog post. Now, post's offset number is a handy one because we're going to come back to that later and I'll show you what it does. But essentially, if I want to skip a couple of blog posts, I can do that by adding them in here. So if I want to skip the first 2, I just put 2 in there and it'll start at post number 3, which comes in handy for what we're going to do soon. Now, under elements, you see we've got the featured image title. We can add a read more button, which is just a little line of text. It says read more. Under the author, we can choose to turn off the categories and the date if we want to. So we just have who it's by, but we're going to turn all that off to simplify this format. And we can turn off the excerpt if you want to, so it's just the title. Or you can turn off the pagination. So if you go down the bottom, it says older entries here. So if you don't want that, you can turn that off, which we will. And a few other of the basics. You can have a module link that when you click anywhere on here, it goes somewhere else, but we don't want to do that. We want people to be able to click through to certain blog posts. Now with the read more button, I do recommend going into design where it says read more text. And in here, you can actually do something like change the case to capital. You can change the size, make it bigger. So that way it's a bit easy to use. If you do some basic CSS, you can add a border and button around it, but I'm not going to go into too much of that information right now. But essentially, this is what we've got here. We've got 3 posts, and these are our latest posts. But what we want to do is change it up a little. Maybe after they've seen the first 3, because these take up a lot of space, maybe we want it so that people can view more quickly. So I'm actually going to click back in here for a sec. I'm going to change this to 2. So we're going to have 2 blog posts at the top. We're going to tick off. And then we're going to add in another row with just a full width column. I'm going to add another blog module in there. But this time, if I go to, if we scroll down, we want to turn off a lot of this stuff. So we're going to actually go into elements. We're going to turn off these elements again. We will keep the pagination. So it looks much the same. But if we go to design over here and layout at the top, instead of full width, we can choose grid. And now we have these 3 columns that show a bunch of different blog posts there. So that's pretty handy. But there is still another issue in that if we actually look at these first 3, my personal post, keys relaxation, you can see we've already got those 2 here and they're repeating themselves here. So if I go back over to content on this second blog module, under content, I can offset post offset number by 2. So now it starts off with the next blog post. Also, these excerpts are a bit long, or maybe we just turn the excerpts off for this one. Add the read more button. We turn off the excerpt here. So now we have a more condensed version of these posts. So we can actually show a few big ones at the top, coming down to 3 columns here. You see here that now you can actually start to really style things and take them to a new level. So at the moment, this looks pretty good. But what happens if I take this background here, change the background color to not quite the green, but let's just click that and we'll just tone it back a bit so it's just slightly lighter. We can actually go in and add background color. So these already have white background card sort of effect on them. So even on this full width one, we can add a white background to these posts. So by clicking on this and going down to content and background, I can choose white and I have a white background on these. But there is an issue that things are a little bit too close to the edge. So under design again, we can go to spacing and add a bit of padding. So we can add say 20, 20, 20, and 20, and we get a bit of spacing around each one. So that's pretty cool. We can even add a margin of say 30 at the bottom, and that just adds it to the bottom down here. And we can even add things like drop shadows if you want to start to get fancier. So we can go to box shadow, so shadow here, add a shadow to the whole thing, and we can even do things like round the corners. So there's a whole bunch of options there. For example, the border, if I want to round these corners, I can say do 20 pixels, and we get these nice round corners at the top and around each post. So you sort of get the idea, and then we can also do that with the images themselves, I believe. Under image, rounded corners, we can go 30 and round the corners of the image. So you've got a few options there to really style the look of it. So let's just stick with that for now. We're happy with that. And again, we can do that down here. Design, box shadow, we add a shadow. And again, maybe we go to the border and we add say 15 pixel corners. So we get nice round corners. So now we've got a custom design layout for our blog, and it's starting to look pretty good. Now, one thing you also might want to consider doing is adding a call for action down the bottom here, like I have in recent videos. So just to quickly touch on that, we can add just a full width section. We'll go for full width header. Maybe say something like subscribe for more, sign up. You can't really see what's going on here, so I'm going to take this background and we're going to choose a background image like this sand. And that's a bit hard to read still, so we're going to go to design, down to overlay, I'm going to choose say black, and then we're just going to knock that back so it pops through a bit. And then you can add a little message in here, like download our freebie. So you can set up a little design using the full width header, and we can check this layout, make it sort of like centered, and add a basic call to action there. And of course, if I go back in and you go to link, under button 1, you can add your page URL. So if you've got a sign up form somewhere, you can add that in there and people can sign up for an email newsletter or something like that. So now we have this layout and it's starting to look pretty good. We've got everything we want on it. We've got our call to action, and we've got our blog posts. But there's actually more options you can still play with to customize how this looks. You can add in, if I add in another sort of full width section, I can add in a full width post slider here. So if I want to make a little bit extra fancy, add something a little bit different, I can add this full width post slider. That's pretty huge, so we can sort of play that down a little bit. The post count, maybe we say 3 posts. We can go date new to old or title. We can do it alphabetical or random. So you've got a few options there. Maybe we decide maybe the content, we want to turn off the post excerpt. So we just get something like that. For summary, of course, under elements, we're going to turn it off down here, I should say. But you can turn off arrows, controls, you can turn off the read more button. We'll turn off the post meta. Now I've put here post excerpts. I want that turned on because that just means it references the actual post excerpt that we've written. But maybe I want the length again to be something like 100. And you can see we've got a few options. The featured image can be in the background, or it can be to the left. We do something like that, and then we can actually dedicate a background in here if we want to. But under featured image, you can go left, right. So same as before, except on the other side. You can center it, at the top, so it goes above the post, but it kind of looks its best in the background. So we've got a nice little slideshow of posts there. It's a bit gigantic, so maybe we'll go up to design, go to title text, just bring that down a bit to 26, a bit too small, pump it up a bit. And then we go into spacing here, and under padding, maybe we'll just make that 50 and 50. Click OK. So we've got a little slideshow of posts here, and we can cycle through and really customize the look of our site. We've got these various areas here. So you've got a few options there, which is pretty cool. Another thing you can do, if you decide this is a bit much, you can bin this one here. Maybe we decide to get this full width post here. We'll actually only have one, but we'll offset it by 1, so we skip the first post for whatever reason. And now we can add, if I tick, we can go and add a post slider in this column as well. It doesn't have to be a full width slider. We can actually just go into our column area and add a post slider there also. So I tick this, we'll move it up to the top. And there is our post slider again. Similar options to before. Make the post excerpt a bit shorter. We go to elements, we turn off the post meta, and go into design and do the same things before. Resize the title, bring it down a bit, and also change the spacing. So the padding, maybe we make that 30, 50, just leave it at that. So you can actually add a little post slider at the top of your page as well, and it'll just sort of scroll through there. One thing I didn't touch on as well, if we go back into our post slider, into the design tab, we scroll to the bottom and go to animation. We want to have automatic animation at about, say, 3500 is not too bad a speed. And we can continue to slide on hover, so when you hover over it, the sliding continues regardless. So there's a few options to think about when you're working with sliders. So now this isn't an ideal layout necessarily the way it is, but you get an idea of what's possible and what you can do. So I'm actually deciding I'm going to get rid of this one altogether. I'm actually going to get rid of this sidebar as well. So I'm going to get rid of this post, make this full width, and we'll just stick with something like this. So that is essentially what I'm going to stick with for this particular project, is just having. Now obviously there's a few adjustments. I think that spacing's a bit tight, so I'll go back in. Sorry, not under spacing. Maybe I'll add 50 here, 70 there, just to space it out a bit. And of course we've got 3 posts here, but if I want this to start from the most recent post as well, I'll remove that offset number altogether. Tick that. And this is going to be our blog page, so I think that's pretty good. Uneven number in this, we've got 7, so maybe I'll stick with 6. Post count is 6. and we're going to keep the pagination on there. So that's pretty cool. So that is essentially, you can do a lot with this. Really, the layout is up to you. You can have things in the sidebar. You can have multiple call to actions and different little post areas within your page. But that essentially shows you the main options you have when setting up a blog post page using the Divi Builder. Using that post slider or your blog post module, you can actually get a lot of control over that. And one thing to consider also is that when you're building these blog post pages, if you're using the theme builder, you can set it to say this page as well. So you can set up one blog post template and assign it to, say, multiple sort of archive pages and blog pages as well. And there's an option to choose this page's posts as well in the blog module. So that's something you can look out for if you want to actually put this in the theme builder. But otherwise, if you're looking to build a post page, you can do a really nice home page. I actually have often, if I exit the visual builder, I've often used the blog module in my home page to show my most recent post, which is pretty handy. So it's essentially this with the full width layout popped into a column. I'll go back to that home page and show you. Something like this, our latest blog post, and you can see there how it works. It's pretty handy with a link off to the full blog. So you can choose to use that blog post module even on other pages just to show your most recent blogs. And you can even do that by category. You can say most recent blog posts under this category or that category. So it adds some flexibility beyond just the blog post page itself. So that's a bit of a crash course, and the layout, of course, is up to you. I think this is not a bad layout for exploring what you have on your blog. But yeah, have a bit of fun with it. Use your creativity to come up with something you love. So that's the video for today, guys, and of course there are more videos in this series. Check out the description below. We're going through, we're building a full website using Divi in this series. If you haven't downloaded the Divi theme before, be sure to check out the link in the description also. Otherwise, have a great day, and I hope to talk to you again soon.